eyes, lit up at that time. So I do have a sense that you take education very seriously. Also, I've been tracking you from 2004. I'm an ardent follower of yours. One, I also know that you are very good in numbers. At the same time, you have done...
I'm terrible in numbers. I don't know where you got this information. I'm very bad and I'm good with words and letters.
Yeah, the dates and all. Yeah. Every kind of dates, the seconds, the minutes, you know about that. It's a combination of mathematics and history. Why did you choose history then?
I chose history. A lot of people were confused. They said, history padhne ke baad naukri kya? You'll be a history teacher. What else can you do? It's a dead subject, And I thought when I finished school, history was my favorite subject. And I said, I'm not ready to let go of history. I want to study it at university as well. And I think what I liked about it was the stories, the past. And the fact that you are reminded of the fact that history repeats itself all the time. So what was the past becomes very relevant, very often. And if you remember the lessons of the past, then you won't make mistakes for the future. So I think I like the cycles of history.
And is that the reason why you joined Balliol College of Oxford, which has a history of 800 years?
I think when I thought that I wanted to study history, I wanted to go to the right place, which has a lot of history and which has very good professors. So there was one professor at Balliol called Dr. Martin Conway who taught me. And then there was Professor Maurice Keane, they were both authorities on their subjects. And how wonderful it would be, I thought, to go to a place to read the books and study the books and be taught them by the people who actually wrote the books.
Oh,
so that for me, that I thought was, incredible to have that experience of going there. Now there are many good universities and the rankings keep changing. It's not necessary that Oxford is academically #1, but it has an atmosphere. The architecture, the place, the vibe, the libraries, the uniforms, that you have to wear, which just makes you feel, you get into the mood of being in that place and you want to soak up that vibe. I think that's why I wanted to go there, and also there was a little bit of feeling that Abba went there, my grandfather went there. It's a bit of a tradition. I sometimes think that maybe I want Anaya to go there as well. She'll be the 4th generation to go to Oxford. But then of course, she's only 8 months.
And also Balliol College, there are 3 distinguishing characters of that. Students are admitted on the basis of only merit, 1, no donation, nothing over there. Second, the erudite teachers, none of the teachers are of middle level, they are erudite. As we said that the own authors were the teachers over there. And the third one, the management. 800 years of legacy. You can say they are deus ex machina of this industry. Now, fit in Radhasai IIT Soha, we are starting something new. 3 points again. 15 students a batch for IIT, which is new in Mumbai or in this country. Second, all meritocratic teachers. Third, the mentor. Right? Meritocratic teachers in the sense IIT Bombay, IIT Delhi teachers are with us in-house. They will be there from morning to evening, catering to the doubts and everything. And third, the mentor. He met you there. He is an ardent fan of yours. And he has been fan of your Abba and Amman also.
Yes.
So, he is a librarian himself, He has lots and lots to say. So these people are full-time with Radhasai IIT. Will Radhasai IIT in an Indian culture, the scenario which is going on, we are actually a game changer.
Absolutely.
Will it succeed?
Absolutely, 100%. As I said, what is an institution if not the people who make it up? Otherwise it's hollow, it's empty.
Right.
And when you have people who are committed, who have vision, then you know that it will succeed. And all the qualities that you're saying, we are so cynical about the Indian educational system. Ke acha bas rato, and reproduce. And a lot of people do that. And there's so many numbers, and teachers are always on vacation or on strike, and students don't know what's happening. When I used to go to some of my friends' colleges, I was surprised that they just have roll numbers. They don't even know them by name. There's a number. And the fact that over here, it's intensive, it's intimate, the classes are small, and the people are qualified, and as I said, the vision is there, and the commitment is there. There's no doubt when you have ingredients like that, that it will not only succeed, that it will be at the, as you said, it's already a game changer, and it'll be at the very top. So that's why I'm here, because I'm so excited to be a part of this audience.
The backbone of ours, like Arun, he wants to felicitate you, ma'am, with a bouquet.
I'd be honored and humbled.
Hardik, I need you to join now, because like it will go on. You have to stop me right now.
I'm sure there are like a million things, Soha, that all of us want to know. You've shared a million things that need to be unpacked actually. You've spoken about education, you've spoken about the impact of parents in your life, the importance of studying at a great university, your challenges. So, at the end of the day, you've been an actor, you've been an author, you've been a banker, you've been a part of a historian. Who are you really?
I don't think that you have to choose one identity, and that's what's wonderful. I think, at different times of the day, you wear different hats, and you can be whoever you want to be. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm a student, and I think one of the things that I would always want to be through life is always be a student. Never stop asking questions. Just because you graduate doesn't mean that you have to stop being curious. So one of the identities that I embrace the most is that of learning and of being a student. I think never close your mind, never feel, okay, enough, now I have all the answers, because that's when you stop. That's when, as a person, you stop growing. So as I said, I think that I would want to be always known as a student.
Wow.
Super. On that thought, I'd like to call upon the two giants of the education industry, Dr. Hemchandra Pradhan sir and Mr. Ravindran Adkarni, back on stage, please. With a huge round of applause, let's welcome these two leaders of the education sector. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for these four gentlemen and the beautiful lady. I'll start with one question with you, Soha. There are parents sitting here in the auditorium, and you mentioned something about when you changed careers. There was a bit of a challenge in explaining why, what, how of the next steps forward. I should say, what was your strategy? What was your approach in explaining your parents?
You see, my strategy was very different because I first didn't tell them. I'm a very non-confrontational person. As someone who wants to make their parents proud, it is very difficult to give them bad news, that I want to do something that will upset you. So I thought, let me not tell them at all, and let me buy time. And then things started to go wrong. The film that I was supposed to do never happened. I had no rent money, so then I had to turn to my father and say, "Ke Abba aise hua hai, abhi kya kare?" And I think then the strategy is to be as direct as possible. I found it difficult to have that conversation with my father, so I told my mother. And I asked my mother to tell my father. So these are not necessarily the ways that you need to go about it, but you can learn from me.
But well, that's a great point, friends. She just threw some point there that if father is not working, go the mother.
Everybody has one. Na? There's always one slightly more amenable member of the
Someone
family.
close to fathers.
So for some it's the fathers, for some it's the mothers. In my case, it was my mother. And if there was any news to tell my father, I would always go through my mother. And my father never knew the rules anyway. So when Amma went to shoot, Like she went once for 2 months to Mississippi to shoot Mississippi Masala. And Abba had no clue. So I could say, हाँ, I'm allowed to stay the night at Priyanka's house. You'd be really, अच्छा, फिर ठीक है जाओ. I'm allowed to go to the beauty parlor. अच्छा, ठीक है फिर जाओ. So then he understood that none of this was allowed at all. And we were just taking advantage of the situation. So a little bit of strategy was used. And then I think communication is very important. So I thought that with Inaya, I don't want to be her best friend. I think you should be a parent. A parent should be a parent, and you should have your friends who are your best friends. But
That's the point.
well, I feel like I don't need to know everything, and maybe I don't want to know everything also. But I feel like if my daughter or my son is in need, she should be able to talk to me about what is bothering her, what is disturbing her, and I need to give her that confidence. And that means that I should be a disciplinarian, but I should not scare her. Like somebody asked me once, are you intimidated by your father because he's he's got such a personality. And my father interrupted and said, I hope she's not intimidated by me. I hope she's impressed by me, but I wouldn't want to intimidate her. So I think open communication is very important.
So I think one of the key points here is that parents are seated here in the auditorium. What is your advice to the parents who they want to sort of put their children on a certain path, but children choose to do something else?
It happens all the time. And I think again, it's a very difficult thing to do. And it will come down, the cycle always, completes. Now I am a mother myself, and I think about what if Inaya tomorrow, I have all these plans that she will go to Oxford, that she will do this. What if she says, at 16K, I don't want to go to college, I want to do modeling. And I'll say, kya hoga, what will happen in the future? And it's such an unreliable profession. But the more you try and hold on to something, the more it will fight you, and the more it will try to leave you. And I've noticed that especially with children of that age, they're rebellious. And they want to assert themselves, they want to have their own identity, they want to make their own decisions. And ultimately you give birth to a child, but that child starts out as a part of you, so it's so difficult to let go, but they become their own person. And that is the biggest, it is the biggest challenge of a parent, to let go and to allow your child to fall and empower them so that they can get up by themselves, so that they're not dependent on you. You want your child to love you and need you, but you need them to be independent of you. And I think that's where, as a parent, you would have succeeded if ultimately your child doesn't need you, but wants you. So I think that's what I would want for
Why don't you choose a teaching profession, Soha?
God.
Because you're such a motivator. Like I always felt that I should be a friend with my daughter, But you actually taught me that there should be a line which I should not cross and she should not. Like there should be a definite line in between.
I think so. I think then, also what happens is when you become friends, as they say, familiarity breeds contempt. And that little bit of you want to have a parental role. That authority will get compromised. And I think that it's important to have that. Is that right? Really? I thought it was by me.
Unfortunately, no.
Familiarity breeds contempt and discretion gets used.
Oh, is that right?
I told you his library.
So well put, so well put.
Yeah.
Natkani sir, Pradhan sir, and obviously Soha, you've been to premier global elite institutions. Why do we focus so much on the elite institutions? What do we really get there?
Wonderful. I mean, Soha had already put it there. I mean, what was the joy of being at Oxford? I think I did enjoy the same feeling, when I was at MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And when I got there, and for the first time the news that I was selected at MIT, my mother, who was a typical low middle class mother, she was wondering, why I would be going all the way for so many years to the US and so on. But then, when I told her about MIT, she said, MIT has made me mighty. And that is the kind of feeling that you feel. You feel empowered because of the culture. You feel enriched because of the culture. You feel proud because of the culture. I think one of the best things that life offers is to go around, see things, meet people, and be really with them, enrich yourself. Some of the professors that I really worked with were Nobel laureates, or some of them got Nobel prizes later on after I left the institute and so on. And the kind of atmosphere we had. And it was not just purely academic. It was everything.
Yeah.
There was sports, there was culture, there was movies, there was even, a kind of, MIT hacking society is very well known for their mischief. I mean, in one of the classes, it happened this way, that one professor came, there was a board, the board was the sliding board, goes up and down and so on. And the professor came to the class, and then, whenever he switched something for the board to go up, board would go down. And then, this was the hacking that students had done. And after a while, the professor realized this and started laughing. And all the students also laughed. So that is the kind of atmosphere which really gets you. And I think it's very important that you all try to go to places where, of course, such atmosphere exists. And secondly, one of the things is that, if you don't find such a place, maybe you should create that kind of atmosphere.
Wonderful.
That's
I think you should have that confidence also.
Yeah.
That this is the kind of culture that I would really want to. And I think one of the best things that happens in a country like US, I was there for several years, they have the best civil society. They have the most cultured civil society. And I think we all, when we say that we want to be educated, we want to be a part of a very civil, gentle, cultured, rich, mentally rich society.
Thank you, sir. That's a wonderful thought. I'd like to throw open the questions for the audience. I'm sure there are questions steaming within you, and I'm sure you want to ask a lot of them. So, is there a thought that you'd like to share before I go on to the audience?
Okay.
Very quickly,
Yeah, quickly.
actually, you know what? I'm very jealous of both these two people. One is because both of them have got Firan degrees. I don't have any. Firan, F-I-R-A-N-G. But and in particular, after Steve Jobs, I am very, very envious of Soha because she's a very curious genetic concoction. I should say. So and I saw her father very much when I was a small boy, and of course her illustrious mother. So that's the first thing I want to say. And of course, Pradhan sir means I have always felt jealous because he stood always first. So these are the two things I just wanted to in a lighter vein. So you can throw it open.
Absolutely. On that thought,
I shouldn't be here.
is it? No, sir. You should be here. Is it?
With this kind of dignitary.
All right. So I'll throw open the question to the audience. Can we have questions that are beaming in your head? Yeah, I can see like shiny faces. Any question? Yeah, there is a. I can't see one. Yes, please. Can we have the mic to the lady, please? Thank you.
Hello, sir.
To whom?
My question is to Pradhan, sir.
It's on.
With our education system, which is vast nowadays, so where does knowledge stand in the scheme of things for an Indian student?
Very, very good question. See, first of all, knowledge means, learning with understanding. That's what I gather, right? And what you are really trying to say that we have in India rote learning based on memory. So you want to distinguish between them. My first reaction to this is that rote learning makes you probably successful in some exams, but not always. If you go for a good interview, if you go for a scholarship interview, if you go for a job interview, rote learning is not going to be of any use. What will be important is what you understood. And in my opinion, learning with understanding will take you anywhere. Will take you to through all the exams, whether they are rote or whether they are very difficult. Which means what? I think it's important that even in India, we go for learning by understanding, because that will always put you in good state. Secondly, there is no contradiction in my opinion, because if you know the subject well, you're going to do well. It also helps memory. So please know that. And the third thing is that when you have learned something well, you're confident. There's no stress. Otherwise, you tend to forget, and students become blank because of rote learning. So I think all these points are very important, and therefore I would stress that whether you are Indian or not, learning by understanding is always very important.
Absolutely, sir. Wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you so much.